Michigan State travels down to Bloomington, Indiana for this weekend's game as a 27.5 point underdog against the number 3 team in the country, Indiana. Who would have ever thought, like even like a few years ago, Indiana would be number 3 in the country for football? I definitely didn't. I'm sure you probably didn't think that either, Leo.
No, we were just saying this before we recorded, but I never would have thought I'd see the day Michigan State was a 27.5 point underdog against anyone, let alone frickin' Indiana. So times change and the modern landscape of college football makes them change even quicker. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, and that's what happens when you obviously have Kurt Signetti as your head coach. I know he's been a lot of the talk this year, the last couple of years, especially comparing him to Jonathan Smith. MSU has a own coaching, maybe possibility of having a new coach next year. We'll obviously talk about that if that happens, but it's going to be a matchup going into it that I think majority of MSU fans, and you'll probably agree with this, and this will probably be a majority of what it's going to be about, is that MSU fans just don't feel confident going into this game. And I think there's several reasons why. I feel like
Yeah.
obviously Aidan Childs struggling the last couple of weeks, probably not being 100%. Then you have Indiana offensively. This Indiana offense is just so good. And you know that Kurt Cincinnati is going to come into this game. And if he can put up 60 points on you, he's going to do it. So if MSU is going to lose, it's probably going to be in an embarrassing fashion if I would have to guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where you look to find an advantage if you're the coaching staff. I don't know. It's kind of just filled with question marks. I'm sure they're not immune to the noise that's coming out. The Graham Couch report on his own podcast. Things are starting to move kind of quickly all of a sudden. I guess Jay Bat is serious about shit, and I respect that. But I don't. Maybe it does help the staff. I don't know. Maybe it's like, all right, we don't want to get like we might get canned. Let's go down with a fight, or at least show some respect to get jobs next
Yeah.
year. Because if they get run out of town here, Smith's good enough to retire, but probably not many others. So I don't know. I I really I wish I could be in the building this week and see what the game plan is, see where they're even trying to attack um on Saturday.
Yeah, because you look at what Indiana has done this year, they're number like 4 in the country when it comes to defense. They're top 5 defense in the country right now. So obviously that's really difficult to attack when you've struggled offensively, being able to put up points, throwing the ball, running the ball, protecting Aiden Childs. And then you go up against this Indiana offense. You have Fernando Mendoza, who's been great this year, 71% completion rate, 17 touchdowns to 2 interceptions, has 1,400 yards passing the ball. He has wide receivers that have been really impactful this year. You have Elijah Sherratt, which I know that you're going to talk a little bit about his brother. You also have Omar Cooper Jr. as well. Those are going to be kind of the two wide receivers that you really have to keep an eye on in this game because obviously Michigan State secondary has not been good. We don't know what health status these guys are going to be at this point. It sounds like there's a couple of guys that are going to be late week decisions that are going to have to be made. It's truly like you look at this game and you're like, where do you even attack or where do you even think you have a capability of winning a one-on-one? Maybe it's one of those things where your best defense is keeping Indiana off the field, but that still means you have to run the ball. That still means you have
Yeah,
to
get
score
first downs.
points, get
Yeah.
first downs, and MSU has struggled doing that.
Yeah, yeah. Trying to give it a fair shot is on here. USC, we had hope we were going to win Nebraska, but UCLA, I wasn't on the UCLA preview, but I definitely was predicting a win. I was predicting a cover. And yeah, I don't know where you look here. You got Mendoza, he's third highest odds to win the Heisman. You got Eli Surratt, who's third highest odds to win the Blintikoff. this will actually be state. Well, Surratt would have been there last year. This will be the third time for MSU seeing Surratt brothers. His older brother Sage was part of that Wake Forest team that MSU beat in the Pinstripe Bowl back when they used to do that thing called make a bowl game. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, good defense, top 5 defense, top 5 offense, playmakers everywhere. It's gonna be tough. I just wish I could be in Scandalaris and see what they're even trying to cook up.
Yeah, and I know one interesting conversation, one interesting quote that Brian Lindgren had in the recent press conference, I believe it was yesterday. He basically said that he wished that he got Leo Hannon at least a couple reps in the last game. I think that's a little interesting because I truly wonder if you're MSU. I don't want to say obviously this coaching staff is giving up. I don't think that's what's happening whatsoever. But if you look at kind of the games you have coming up, I think you truly can say Indiana is probably the game that you can kind of like automatically like chalk down like it's going to be a loss. Like it's going to be the most difficult game you have. You almost want to maybe get to a point where you're trying to keep Aidan a little bit healthier, get him a little bit healthier. I wonder if MSU starts Alessio this week and if Leo Hannon's going to be the backup.
Yeah, I mean that's what that quote makes it sound like, definitely. And yeah, Childs, you didn't see him. And I mean, to be fair to Alessio, he's played well in his opportunities. So I think that very well could be the case, and probably will be good for Aidan. Definitely will be good for Alessio. I actually probably pretty good way to get your confidence shot. But
Yeah, I was just
I
going to
think,
say, is this good for Alessio to go up against this defense? Because he's been throwing the ball extremely effectively.
yeah, he has, and he's also seen two pretty soft prevent defenses
Yeah, two bad
when he has,
defenses.
yeah, and that. So who knows? I mean, if nothing else, like I'm not even no idea how the team feels about Charles. I'm sure they respect him. He seems like a good leader, but it's kind of like the interim coach bump, like the backup QB bump. You bring him in, and you all right, something's different. We're gonna play differently. So I don't know. Maybe you look to that. Maybe you find some run plays that you like other than a toss that repeatedly doesn't work. I don't know. I mean, someone has to step up to keep this thing even competitive. And if you want to talk about winning, you need all 11 guys on the field at once to step up through offense, defense, and special teams. So you never know. I mean, upsets happen, and this would be a big one. But I'm sure they haven't quit yet.
No, I truly don't think so. I think there's a lot of like attention towards like the coaching staff, kind of the way the players have reacted throughout the games. I think rightfully so. There is attention to that, especially because there didn't seem to be a ton of excitement, a ton of like rah rah kind of like atmosphere, and it's like difficult to do when you're like down in the second half when you're getting like beat up. But I think truly when it comes to who's going to be playing quarterback in this game, I think it's probably more of a decision of the future for MSU. And I think when I say that, I'm not saying the future for like Alessio is going to be kind of the guy. I'm not saying that there's a QB controversy. I'm saying if you want a chance to win, you need a healthy Aidan. And if Aidan plays in this game against Indiana and he's not completely healthy, or even if he is, there's a real possibility like he gets hurt again. And if you want
Yeah.
to beat like a Michigan, I like Alessio, but in my opinion, I think you need Aidan at 100% or at least the most confidence he can be. And going up against this defense, it's going to be absolutely brutal for any quarterback that plays in this game.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting angle. Honestly, I hadn't really thought about that. But yeah, you give Aiden some time to heal up, and I don't know. I mean, maybe him watching a game from the sidelines again will help him out. You see, so he'll pick up on some stuff he's not picking up on the field, or I don't know. I don't think I do not think it's a bad thing to, even if he's like 93%, you don't want him to go in and have 15 blows to the head by halftime again.
Yeah.
Like, so no, I agree with you. I think, and in that you get Alessio a start, and he deserves that. I mean, so yeah, I think that's a good way of looking at it. And yeah, I don't. There's no way I think the coaching staff has quit on the year, because if they do that, they're more fired than you think. But yeah, I don't know. I mean,
And the good thing is, it seems like Alessio was truly targeting Nick Marsh quite a bit last week. I know that's also something that Brian Lindgren talked about as well, is that they wanted to get Nick Marsh involved. And I believe he had maybe 14 targets last week, which is a lot. I do think you do need to get Amari Kelly a little bit more involved. It doesn't seem like he's 100% either. Brian
no,
Lindgren basically said he's kind of going through the middle of the season type experience. But I
yeah,
think if you're going to win this game, you need to get the ball to the best playmakers, protect your quarterback as much as possible, and truly like try to get long drives. Because if you give the ball to this Indiana team, you either have to hope your defense plays much better, more sound, because I do think MSU is making mistakes. I think people are trying to play hero ball a little bit defensively, or you truly have to keep the ball on your side of the field, keep the ball in your possession, and try to make it one of those games that is truly ugly to watch. But in my opinion, that's probably the game that MSU can win, is you make it one of the most ugliest brands of football you can imagine. But in my opinion, I think if you do that and MSU keeps it close, you might have a little bit more leeway with fans saying, hey, what happened against UCLA? Not acceptable, but at least you kept it close against Indiana.
yeah, no, I agree. I mean, you're gonna need to. I mean, I guess I might be contradicting myself, because I think talked about after the Nebraska game how I hated that we took the ball in that environment. This week is maybe one of those where if you win the toss, you take the ball, just because you don't want to go down 7-zip like that. And I think if you take the ball, you get the ball, you got to put together a drive like the Lions did out of the kickoff on Sunday night, and maybe only get a field goal like Detroit did. But if you can take 10 minutes off the clock, that's 10 less minutes they can score, and neither of us think they're going to have too much trouble scoring. Mekhi Frazier's going to have a game. You know, Gulbin is going to have to move guys. All five the whole five front is going to have to step up. Masunas and Velling, whatever. Like, you're going to need some dudes to make a play, and make plays consistently. And you can't have downs where two guys screw up, because then you're gonna Alessio's gonna be on the ground. It's gonna be 3rd and 15. And again, neither of us are expecting a win this week. But if you want a fighting chance, like if you want to go out there like a respectable Big Ten team would, and show some spirit, show some just pride, honestly,
Yeah.
you gotta make sure you're executing it, and you gotta come with a good game plan too.
Yeah. I completely agree. You can't get behind the markers. Like, you just can't. Like, you have to be where you need to be. Like, you can't be 3rd and long. Like, you just need to maybe pick up a couple of yards per play, protect the quarterback, because if you get behind the line of scrimmage or you get behind the game plan, you either need someone to make a play or Indiana's going to bring it right at you. And because of the pressure that MSU has given up, especially in pass protection, it's going to be really hard, especially if you don't have a completely mobile quarterback. Now, we've seen Alessio, we've seen Aidan. He's struggled definitely a lot more make throws in those situations. But on the road against a top 5 team in the country, you almost have to have a perfect game plan, a perfect execution of it if you want to win it. And if you truly keep it close, I don't want to say it's going to put a lot of pressure off of Jonathan Smith, but I think people might be okay with it, and I don't think that's necessarily acceptable to say, but, like, that's kind of where MSU is right now, is you just wanna be competitive.
Well, I think what's so interesting about that is so the quote from Couch and Solari was that if things go really badly this week, I would be a little surprised if he's the coach next week. And one of the top responses I saw was if you're trying to decipher what's between what's very bad and what's not, you're already done. Like you should already be fired, which I get that's a fair point. So I don't know how to gauge this. For me, I think anything within 14 would be a pleasant surprise. I mean, I'm not going to say if they cover, if they do more than what they're expected to, it's a pleasant surprise because you could lose a damn game by 27 points and cover the spread right now.
Yeah, and you wouldn't feel good about it.
No, and I don't think Jay Bat would either, and neither would the donors. So I don't know. That's an interesting quote to me. I don't know, but I think if you want to save your job, if you want to save maybe some of the fans, you need to do something significant enough where you can. I don't know. Like I don't really know what you can point to for Smith and Company to move forward, but
In your opinion, what does MSU have to do in this game to get you to, I don't want to say buy back in a little bit, but help you kind of like, okay, like you saw a little bit of something? Because I think fight could be the word for it, but you can say you fought for 2 quarters and then you get absolutely blown out in the second half. Like,
yeah, I was
is
gonna
that
say
okay?
I think if you're within a touchdown in the second half, like not at halftime, like if you're down a touchdown, whatever, but like if you're like 10 minutes into the third quarter down 21-14 or something, like i- anything that gets them the next week, apparently, if this very badly thing, anything that gets them the next week and gives some fans that are going to watch Michigan probably struggle with Washington. They'll probably win, but they'll probably struggle. Anything to give people hope going into the Paul Bunyan Trophy game. Because right now, I think it's the loser mindset to say it's a made season if you beat Michigan. But at this point, I mean, you just got smoked by the worst team left on your schedule. So if you can beat Michigan here, I think that's going to be a lot more of an indicator than this week, just because of how mismatched these two teams are.
Yeah, I just think, like we talked about, everything on paper, you just don't see it. Like some games, you see a real possibility. It's just one of those things you're just truly hoping to see something from this team, and that's just unfortunately where it is at. Now, if MSU was home, I know last week MSU was home. Maybe we could find a way, but like it's going to be a raucous atmosphere. It's on the road. You have Kurt Signetti on the opposite side. He's not going to be forgiving whatsoever. It just seems like everything going into this game, you just see why the spread is 27.5 points, and you can just see it going more than that because it could be somewhat close going to the fourth quarter, and then Indiana could score 21 points and MSU could lose by like 35. Like, that's just the way it could be. I don't think anyone's going to feel good about that if that does happen. But I think just bias is probably the biggest thing that I think MSU fans need to see. And to get to that point is disappointing, but there's really not much else we can talk about. Is you just see that this is probably not going to go MSU's way. And if it does go MSU's way, I think everyone buys back into Jonathan Smith because this would be one of the biggest wins for MSU in the last 5+ years.
Yeah, I mean, I think you want to see it get to a point where it resembles in the slightest bit what Michigan State looked like when they were successful. And I'm not talking about 2021, pre 2021. Like even when those teams were horrible, there was the one year in what 17 what they got smacked by Ohio State the one time, but it was rare to see Michigan State come out and lay down. It was rare to see a team that, oh, the start of the game didn't go our way. Okay, well, we're gonna pack it up and get ready for the plane ride home. I think that just falls on like Sam Edwards, Darius Snow, guys that have been here, Jack Felling, guys that have been in other programs. Like you gotta rally your guys. And I get it having been in a locker room last year where the season doesn't go your way. And it's hard. The emotional battle of that is hard. Like
Yeah,
I completely understand that. They probably came into the year all off season just by the nature of how teams work. You're like, oh, who knows? Maybe we could sneak in the playoff at 10-2, and then you're competing for a natty. Or like that's realistically everyone's saying that before the year, especially in the Big Ten at Michigan State. So
exactly.
it's I get how hard it is to go out on Monday or Tuesday or today or tomorrow in practice and give 100% effort when you're 3-3, your season's lost, and you open up Twitter and everyone's talking about firing the guy that brought you here. But you need some nucleus of guys to not let that happen this week. If you lose by 21 and you played 4 quarters of the best football game you possibly could and you lost to the number 3 team in the country, cool. But if they get down 14-0 and never show a pulse the rest of the game, it's like I think that's the world you end up with a new head coach by Michigan.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It's one of those things that you almost have to kind of use the UCLA game as one or two opportunities. It's going to either be a rallying cry, and it's going to be like this is not like okay. Like what happened last week. This is not what MSU is. This is not what this team should be. We know better. Or it's going to be an opportunity for MSU to just not show up in this game, to be disinterested, and it's truly going to be about what type of team responds. And I feel like that's going to be probably the biggest thing about this game. MSU doesn't have to win it. It's about how MSU comes out. And if MSU comes out and lays down and it's a complete blowout at that point, it'll be really interesting to see what happens the rest of the year. But if they end up fighting, if they end up keeping it close or competitive, or at least you're seeing something from some players, I feel like you'll see a dramatic difference. Even though if you look on paper, if you look on talent in itself, giving effort and caring isn't going to win you a football game. Talent a lot of the time does. MSU has talent. Indiana has more talent. And it's truly going to be about who cares on this team. And it's about how MSU is going to respond, if they care, or if they're going to take what happened against UCLA and just lay down. And if you're serious about this thing, you come out swinging, not physically. Don't physically swing like Detroit Lions safety, but come out with a fight. And I feel like that's truly what we can say at the end of the day in this game. Just come out with a fight attitude and just try to be competitive.
Yeah, and for what I did say about coming out and fighting and making sure there's no quit. I mean, how many guys are tired of this? Like the dudes that have been here through the Tucker debacle and like I don't know. And it really isn't fair to say like if they want it more. It's just like, yeah, you gotta show it. Because I'm sure the guys I'm listening, Snow, Edwards, dudes that have been here, Spencer, like I'm sure they don't want to go into another game where they're big underdogs and get smoked like they did against Oregon or Ohio State or Michigan. Like,
Correct.
but wanting to doesn't equate sometimes, and you got to find a way to actually do it. So I don't know. I feel like we beat a dead horse, but there really isn't much else for us to say.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. You kind of sound like the coach from the Red Wings. Like, how much longer are you going to take this? Like, how much longer are you going to accept this? And there's too good of players on this team to accept this and to realize, like, hey, like you've been through ups and downs. Guys like Sam Edwards, Darius Snow have been through more downs than ups, but like, how much longer are you going to accept this? And I think this game and the game against Michigan will truly tell us, like, are they going to be accepting this? And it's almost to the point of like, if you accept this, then don't expect the fans to accept it either.
Yeah, just give us something going into the Michigan week. Just give us something. That's I think what you just want at this point. Just give us some flicker, glimmer of hope because Michigan isn't that good. Like they are not that good of a football team. They're on paper they're better than Michigan State. They're performing better than Michigan State. I don't think they have a coaching advantage even. Like I don't. I and we're not supposed to be breaking down the Michigan week this
Yeah,
week,
we'll
but
we'll talk about that next week.
it's just like I don't know, man. You got to see something.
Yeah. No, I agree, and we could very much have a lot of this discussion in the recap about did we see something like that. Like you truly don't know what the final score is going to be. You kind of expect, obviously, like we both mentioned, MSU to lose, but we'll talk about that in the recap. Obviously, we'll preview Michigan next week, so we'll see how we're feeling going into that game. Probably fully depends on what happens in this game, but any last things that you have to say before we wrap this up here shortly?
No, I just seriously hope to be inspired at least for like a quarter of football. Like, yeah, no.
Understandable. Yeah, I'm kind of there at this point as well. Just show something, show effort, show fight, show a little bit about what Michigan State football has been when they've been successful. If you do that, you see some buy-in, you see Smith give a little bit of emotion, you see the players give a little bit of emotion. Feel like that's as much as we can ask for at this point, and just don't try to get blown out. But at the end of the day, if we're talking about a 28-35 point loss later this week, it wouldn't surprise me any other way. But even if that's the case, we'll talk about it. We will recap it. We'll see if we're smiling. We'll see if MSU gives us anything. But yeah, no, thank you for everyone for tuning into this episode. If you liked it, agreed with it, disagreed with it, let us know in the comments. Make sure to leave a
Yeah,
like,
let us know.
subscribe, all that kind of stuff.
Let us know what you're looking for out of state this week because we clearly didn't come up with much. So
I think we're kind of finding the pulse of a lot of MSU fans at this point.
I'd agree.
Yeah. But no, thanks for everyone for tuning in to the preview, and make sure to tune in the recap after the MSU Indiana game happening this weekend.